Hello.
Hello.
We're alive.
Yay.
Sorry for missing last week. I have no legitimate reason. Half forgotten, half we've been playing Breath of the Wild and I get caught up in things and then I forget to do things.
It is a really good game.
Yes, so that's what I figured we'd talk about.
Yay.
In particular, I wanted to discuss my theory as to what timeline this belongs to. So step one, you should go get your Hyrule Historia.
Oh, goodness.
Anywho, there's a cat. All the cats. Hyrule Historian. You gonna find me the timeline?
Oh, I had a feeling that's what you wanted.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. So, in this handy Hyrule Historia, which we may or may not have shown off at some point before, I'm not sure anymore.
I think so.
There's a timeline that tells you where everything belongs. So, let's see.
Yes, at the end of Ocarina of Time, there's one of three endings. Either the hero dies, the hero wins and remains an adult, or the hero goes back to being a child and lives out their natural life.
Ooh, I was wrong about one of my points. Darn.
Uh,
Well, okay. I still have other points, but I was just wrong about one of them. Damn you. I think that Breath of the Wild belongs in the Wind Waker timeline. And, my reasoning for this, let's see. Let's see if I can remember. I had all this on Sunday. So we were supposed to do this yesterday, and I forgot. Under the flimsy, we have... Leviathans, I think. Because they look like whales, and that makes sense since they're in, water.
and why they'd be dead in all different environments nowadays.
Oh yeah, the king. Because in the Wind Waker game, the king, spoiler, is the boat. And then shows up as this old man. And then in Breath of the Wild, he is an old man who turns out to be a ghost. So, to me, that's similar. And they both reveal themselves in similar ways.
And every bit of salt that you find in Breath of the Wild has the description of being part of an ancient seabed.
Yes. That was under my less flimsy category, but we'll mix it together. Why not? Yes, when you mine, there's rock salt, which said that it was there because the world was covered in water. The Great Plateau is higher than most everything except for mountains, and it's where the Temple of Time was rebuilt. And it makes sense since in, Phantom Hourglass, they find New Hyrule and form a country there. To me, that makes sense. The Rito, which I know some people talk about the fact that the Rito are in other timelines.
They are not.
But officially, the Rito are in Wind Waker as the proper bird things, not like the Uka or whatever that thing is called from Twilight Princess, whatever that ugly chicken is.
Totally not Rito.
But the Rito are in Wind Waker, so I have that as my less flimsy reason why it belongs to the Wind Waker timeline. But my solid evidence is because the champion, Rivali, pilots the divine beast Meadow, named for the sage Melody, who is from Wind Waker.
And only appears there.
Which I'm sure they do literally put something from every timeline in the game. Like, they mention Twilight, they mention all the other stuff, so it could be all three timelines. But
Yes, Zelda rambles about how, no matter what, even if there's Twilight or some crap, the hero will always be there, but that is just kind of a random mentioning, and Twilight Princess doesn't actually have to happen, since some people, like the princess, are aware there's a Tweedly dimension out there.
yes. So, it could be any of the timelines, but I feel solidly that it belongs in the Wind Waker. Another reason, in Spirit Tracks, I do believe, The castle has like 4 points coming off of it, binding Malladus, and that's where the spirit tracks all like come from. And in Breath of the Wild, there are 4 pillars coming off the castle. We also have the Koroks, which, to my knowledge, only ever exist in Wind Waker and Breath of the Wild.
Yep.
Which evolved from the Kokiri, which evolved from the Kikwi.
Yep.
Yep. Do I have any other points?
That's probably good enough.
Yeah, because I had rambled about how Zelda's power was diminishing, but then I was reading that in Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks, Zelda has her power back. Well, not so much Phantom Hourglass, but in Spirit Tracks, her Tetra's great-granddaughter, or whatever, has the spirit power back. So, that lost my argument.
Yeah, there's no explanation for why Zelda's so depowered at the beginning of Breath of the Wild.
And I know a lot of people argue that this can't be the Wind Waker timeline because there's Zora in it. But they never specifically say they're dead, and they've already walked back saying that the Rito evolved from the Zora.
Yeah, that was only mentioned by, it was either the producer or the director of Wind Waker, and no one else corroborated that, so it was just kind of unsaid, and that was only a behind-the-scenes comment that he made. So it's been officially retconned.
Yeah, so that's not a valid argument. And my only other reasoning for saying it's in the Wind Waker timeline is the sailcloth. So in Skyward Sword, the winner of the whatever class gets a sailcloth made by the princess, you know, the representation of the goddess, blah blah blah, and you use that to float around. And in Wind Waker, you also get a sailcloth to float around. And then...
Yeah, it's more of a sail for the boat.
It's still a sailcloth.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Regardless. And then in this one, you get a paraglider, which has the same symbol on it. It's just got a wooden, you know, handhold now, which makes it safer,
Yeah.
arguably. I don't know. I don't think I have any other valid arguments. There's not really...
You could also go with the fact that in the other 2 timelines, Hyrule doesn't get as crazy technology-wise, whereas...
Oh yeah, that was the thing. Spirit Tracks, they have steam locomotion, which would then lend itself to having the electricity and other things that Breath of the Wild would then have.
Which allowed the Sheikah to build their army of 10,000 guardians that, for some reason, they either buried or fought some war that everyone forgot about. It was 10,000 years ago, and apparently no one actually keeps...
Proper records.
Yeah, proper historical records, since Hyrule gets blown up all the time.
It's like, the reasons why I don't think it's like the Twilight Princess one is because, Hylians and the Sheikah were a dying race in Twilight Princess, I think. I don't know, the Sheikah village is empty except for Impa.
Yeah, the Sheikah are pretty much entirely gone. The Hylians are still about, but the other timeline where Link dies during Ocarina of Time is when the Hylians are completely gone, except for the royal family and the royal knights. And even then, in all those games, Link is supposed to be the last descendant of the royal knights. So he's the only pointy-eared guy around.
Okay, so yes, the 3 timelines are the hero is defeated, so that's where the classic Legend of Zelda comes from. Then there's the hero is triumphant but becomes a child again, because that was going to be my argument until I read that I was wrong. At the end of Ocarina, you see him put the sword back, which goes into the Twilight Princess time period, because it does Majora's Mask.
So it's kind of the most canonical, but at the same time, it's supposed to be 3 different dimensions that are all happening simultaneously.
Yes, and they put more clues in to me that it would be Wind Waker versus the other ones.
Yeah.
I know someone did the maps don't line up. He made me watch this whole theory about what they thought was the timeline.
Well, that was just the game theory guy, and most of the time he's just screwing around anyway. Since his most solid evidence of, oh my god, it's in the decline of Hyrule timeline was Link has a yellow stripe in his hat.
Yes.
And there are Lionels.
Yes.
Which sounds way more flimsy than everything you just said.
Like, I'm fine with Lionel's being in all of them. Like, animals evolve. Whatever. Or, Ganon trans-dimensional himself. I'm waiting for Hyrule Warriors to somehow be canon. Like, they're just in a pocket dimension.
I say there's the least canon, but they do cross all the dimensions to recruit people.
Yep, because they get, Zelda and Sheik.
I feel like Tetra's also around.
No, but her baton is. Or his baton? Yeah, it's Link's baton. I don't think Tetra's in it. Well, she might be now. She wasn't originally.
Yeah, there's a lot of characters that they're adding from the 3DS version and the Wii U expansions.
I feel like I had another argument, but I don't know anymore, man. My theory for why Zelda's power is diminishing, though, I have one of those, is the original goddess, because there's a manga at the back of this too, which if I had even shown this off before, blah blah blah.
Hylia.
Yes, the actual goddess Hylia came down to Hyrule. There's like a colored manga back here and everything. But she saw the plight of the Hylians being fought against with the Ganon and his demon army. Demise and his demon. Alright, yes, it's before he's Ganon. Anywho, our hero Link is actually a full-blooded adult and held in prison, and it's pretty epic and cool. And he gets set free by the people, and he decides to help them anyways, even though they were, jerks to him. And the goddess so loved his valiance and all that she decided to make sure he came back whenever the world needed him, and that she would reincarnate herself to help him. And that is how Zelda was born.
Just because she wanted to be near him.
Yes, because she highly loved Link.
And the question is, did they ever have royal knights and royal family babies? Or are they just completely platonic friends at all times?
Yeah, they never really go into that. Considering in Breath of the Wild, Link is totally betrothed to Mipha, which I'm so sad she's dead now. Anywho, that is my theory. Well, I guess I didn't say that. My theory is that Hylia never intended for this cycle of rebirth to go on as long as it has, since Demise/Ganon wanted to keep going forever. So I think it just drained her. Plus, during this one, Ganon decided to give up on reincarnation, so he put all of his being into this last attack, which didn't go so well for him. And maybe that helped also? I don't know.
It's also interesting that the Triforces are never really brought up in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, they only see it light up once on Zelda's hand when her power finally awakens.
So Link probably has the Triforce of Courage after recovering all 120-odd plus expansion shards.
Unless that's why everything's gone to shit in this game, because the Triforce somehow is missing. The Dark World probably took it or something.
And I thought getting the Triforce of Courage in the second Link game was a pain in the ass. Visit all the palaces to prove yourself worthy. It turns out there are 3 Triforces. Really? Since in the first game it was just the Triforce of Wisdom, the Triforce of Power. I'm like, well, I guess it's Triforces because of triangles. And then the second game, they're like, and there's a 3rd Triforce. Should have seen this coming.
Well, Skyward Sword, you have to find all the pieces of the Triforce of
That was
Courage.
also a bitch. Wind Waker, where you have to fish up a bunch of Triforce shards.
And then you have to find all the Triangle Island. It's a mess. Anywho, that is my theory, that this is the Wind Waker timeline. I don't know if I'm right, and I don't know if they'll ever tell us if we're right. But there you go. Also, if you don't have it, you should get the Hyrule Historia. It's kind of cool.
Yes, if you're into Zelda, it is really handy.
And the manga is pretty good, too. It explains the Red Loft Wings. That's a theory I didn't say.
That you think that the Rito might be Loftwings?
Yes, my fan theory. Write this down. The Loft Wings from Skyward Sword, who are never mentioned again, they evolved into the Rito. It makes the most sense.
Since the Rito are never mentioned before Wind Waker?
Yes, and in Twilight Princess, they go back to the Breath of the Wild Islands, and there are little birds flitting around. So in that timeline...
Skyward Sword. Skyward Sword Islands is what you meant to say.
Skyloft.
Yes.
They go back to Skyloft. Anywho. Yes, they go back and find those little ugly birds sitting up there, and I think in that timeline, that's what happened to the Loftwings.
Because they decided to give up on flying and just work on high technology with their lack of opposable thumbs.
Whereas I think in the Wind Waker timeline, they decided to come down. Because I'm going to just go out on a limb and say Hylia was like, hey, you should come down here and help these people.
Well, they were kind of messengers for everyone keeping the island chains together during Wind Waker.
I don't know. These are just theories.
Or the chief theory that even though they release these official timelines, nothing actually perfectly matches up, and all the games are just reiterations of the same basic formula. Kind of like Final Fantasy with recurring characters.
I don't know. I at least like that they have the first bits of the timeline.
Yes, Skyward Sword and Ocarina, you can definitely make direct connections to that, and then after that it's really hazy. Especially when you're trying to connect the old NES games, which they decided that, I guess Link died the first time, and that's why there's no villagers and houses in the first timeline. Because in the first video game, you just find, a dozen old men and stuff living in caves and hiding under bushes. Bushman, take this wooden sword and save the world!
It's dangerous to go alone.
It's like, you don't have a knife.
No.
Metal was made illegal when Ganon conquered the world.
Also, if you do like Legend of Zelda, aside from getting the Hyrule Historia, I would recommend reading the mangas. They're really good. Link talks.
And get all the games. All of them.
It's kind of expensive.
Yeah, they're on the Wii U Virtual Console.
All of them, huh?
If you're one of the 5 people that has a Wii U like me. Or if you're one of the 112 million people that have a 3DS. Most of them are also on there.
He likes Link Between Worlds.
It's a great game. It's like Link to the Past, with more toggles.
Hey, we rambled enough?
Probably.
Okay.
See y'all later, people.
Bye.